Unshaven, no Barça on my shirt hours after the match. Well, you guessed it. Yes, I'm still dealing with a little bit of sickness, but with the international break just around the corner, or actually just at our doorstep, I would feel pretty guilty if I didn't give some kind of match review for Barca's 3-3 draw with Celta de Vigo, so here are those 5 headlines now. 1. Something to work with. 3-3 is a tough result in a match that Barcelona were leading 3-0. Duh. But the team that was leading 3-0 did show some things that can be worked with and potentially get a top 4 finish in the Liga. The team, however, in the second half that conceded 3 straight goals and drew 3-3 in the final minute, that's a team that's going to have to be worked on. So that's the mess that Xavi is taking over, and I know it's not a simple mess. But as this game and many other games this season were an indication, he's not starting at 0. There is something to start with. And if Ansu Fati is going to finish the same way that he's been finishing on most of these goals this season, including the one against Celta de Vigo, that's a good place to start too. 2. Heartbreaker. Gang. Iago Aspas, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Iago Aspas, he might be 34 years old, he might be in the twilight of his career, but if there's just a few players in the Liga that are legends and other teams that I would have one day had liked to see at Barcelona, it would have been Iago Aspas. I take a 34-year-old Iago Aspas any day of the week. But his glory alone isn't what scored that goal. Barca's defensive shape completely fell apart in that second half when they conceded the 3 goals. Some of it was Alba, some of it was Boosie, some of it De Jong, some of it Ricky, some of it the disjointed nothing press on the forward line. But a goal in the 96th minute of a game with 5 added minutes is as brutal as it gets. But it's also a really memorable way to, in theory, end another era. Yes, I know Sergi Barjuan was in charge, but this closes the chapter on the Ronald Koeman time at the club. I may only remember Sergi's few short matches in charge of the club for keeping Nico Gonzalez in the starting lineup, something which, because of all the injuries, wasn't something I don't think he had a choice about. 3. Remember just how young. There was a moment in that second half when Abde was dribbling right into the Vigo box. It winds up getting deflected out to Puig. Puig collects and then finds Alex Balde on the left side. And that play in particular was a reminder of how these experiences could pay dividends very shortly. Like so many of his contemporaries, Balde got to fit into the first team without the expectations of being the next big thing all on him. He's sharing that responsibility with so many others. Even Nico, who again I thought was very good, wasn't buried by his initial issues and has shaken them off into a starting role until Pedri returns. And even then, who knows what Xavi will have up his sleeve. Puig, who did get a look in this match, has basically been out of the club for a year and a half. And I know we wonder what Xavi will do with him, but he's barely played since the beginning of 2020 and it's almost 2022. And Abde? I had not heard of him until the day he signed for Barça B over the summer. And even then, I was able to find 2 grainy highlights of him playing with Hercules and maybe 1 picture, and that was all I knew of him, and now he's playing for Barcelona's first team against Celta de Vigo. None of Balde, Puig, or Abde might be at the club in 2 years' time, but some of these extremely raw players, and I say raw, not young, they can be taught, molded, and shaped. And Xavi has a number of players that he can work with into that next generation, and I am reminded with matches like these how many of that next generation is already in the first team for him to work with. 4. Too many injuries. No excuses. Barcelona should have gotten the 3 points from this match. But it's incredible to me just how many players are injured after this game. Friend of the show, Kevin Williams, said that the currently injured 11 would have a good shot at beating the currently available 11 for Barcelona, and I don't think he's that far off. The injured would be Neto, Des, Garcia, Piqué, Roberto, Pedri, Nico, Ansu, Dembele, Aguero, Braithwaite. The non-injured would be Ter Stegen, Alba, Lenglet, Araujo, Mingueza, Boosie, Frankie Puig, Gavi, Memphis, Coutinho. Yikes. People actually in the know don't talk and tell us regular people about training, but something certainly does have to change. I'm not sure if it's discipline or how the players are going about their business, or even something that I've been calling for a while now, and that is rotation. I can't believe Sergio Busquets isn't among the walking injured with as much as he's been playing this season. But yeah, something certainly does have to change around the scene. I'm not calling for the medical personnel to be changed. We're not sure what it is. Is it that these players are too injury prone? Is it that there's something wrong with training? Or is it just that Barcelona's completely run out of luck? Or, worst case scenario, it's all 3. 5. Ter Stegen needs a bump too. Xavi may not necessarily know much about goalkeepers, but if you did watch his Al Sadd matches, His goalkeeper is paramount to that system, and I'm hoping that the way that Xavi uses Ter Stegen offensively can get something right on the defensive side of it, because the shot stopper that we know so well in the German Ter Stegen has not been in form this season in the very least, really since he came back from his injury, and I'm wondering if that surgery isn't having long-lasting effects that we haven't heard about, because he's just not making the stops that we're used to. And I'm not going to say that he was never at that level, because I think that that level is in him. I think he's a top 10, sometimes top 5 goalkeeper in the world, but not at the moment. And I'm hoping that he also gets that new manager bump that you expect that this team is going to get. Alright, so even when sick, I really wanted to get this content out, because next week, obviously, Barcelona have a new manager, and it's somebody that we all know very well, and that's Xavi. So I'm going to have all that content out next week. I want to make up for some of the stuff that I missed. So until then, Força Barça.